go through, say whatever you're doing, and catch up with what's going on. So who'd like to start?
Okay, I can start. Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. In terms of training, I'm not doing any certification training right now. However, I'm having lots of Zoom sessions. These are 1 hour sessions that I'm doing. So for the last 1.5 years, I've not been doing any certification training. It's just that on the part of the institute in Malaysia, I'm feeling so pumped up nowadays because quite a number of trainers and meta coaches have come on board, and we are excited about planning for NSTT in 2024 in Malaysia. So we have started working on that. So that's very encouraging to have all these people on board. Just this afternoon, we had the community meeting for Malaysian trainers, not just trainers and coaches, but people who have attended our training before. So we had using the using the format that you use for ISNS community meeting, so brought it to the Malaysian scenario. So it was very well received, and even though I've not been doing all that much certification training, but the developments in terms of the institute here in Malaysia is so encouraging right now. Yeah, that's what I would just like to update. Thank you.
Is there anybody doing in-person training there in Malaysia?
No, it's totally not allowed, and we don't see, we can't see any light at the end of the tunnel yet. So what I'm doing right now is, for example, if companies, so I'm working with corporations, so if companies want training on, let's say, on communication skills, then I would offer the training fully online, and I would tell them that this is not certification training until and unless they come for the in person. Yeah.
So why don't you talk about your deliberate practice ones and what you and Jason are planning to do?
Oh, okay. For the NS or the deliberate practice, the one in the Philippines.
What you're doing?
Oh, okay. So it's my turn now.
It's your
okay,
turn.
I thought it was like. Okay. Well, for the deliberate practice in the Philippines, like I run it every Friday. It's started, how many months ago already? Yeah, it started April, I think, or May when we started it. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, well, the intention there was really to build a community, because a lot of people did not renew, and I opened it to even those meta coaches who did not renew. It's just to, you know, regardless of what stage they're at in their learning, whether they're active or not, it was just open to anyone. And I also did not record it because, you know, just to encourage people to attend. That's one. And then the other thing is that for those who've attended, and if there's anybody who was interested but couldn't make it for one reason or another, the people who attended can actually echo it. And so some people started doing that. It was Harvey does it regularly, also weekly, echoing what he has learned. So that also, reinforces the deliberate practice. So what we are deliberately practicing on, well, because it's for the meta coaches, is the sub skill. We followed what Michael included in the ACMC manual in 2019. He had a set of drills for the deliberate practice. So we'd follow that. And then recently, what we've been doing is, well, we're starting on the meta model. So that's what we're going to be starting working on. But before that is preparation of the like unlearning, the unlearning pattern, which was included in the learning dimension. So one of the things that I'm incorporating in the deliberate practice is the 7 dimensions of learning. So it gives us an opportunity also to know how to learn.
So she's learning how to unlearn it. She's got a lot to unlearn.
Yes, a lot, and how to learn. And the thing is, it's not rushing it. There are times it would take us like several weeks to even learn one sub skill. So or one, yeah. So it's not rushing. So I would say, like as Mike would say, it's masticating it now. It's not swallowing the information whole. Yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah, it's a baby step. Yeah. And what I found helpful there is the collaborative learning. And we just welcome everyone. Some of them come in and out, some are regular. So for me, even if there's just one person there, or two, I will continue the deliberate practice. Yeah. It's the rhythm. It's getting to the rhythm of it. So there's specific time. So yeah, and yeah, for Jason,
let's move on.
Yes, I'm gonna volunteer Jason for the NSTT. He's the one leading it. We're gonna start.
So, sure. Thanks for the volunteering. So we're starting next week on Friday with a new group of a practice group for people in the master trainer track to work on their training skills, improve. Same kind of thing. We have the idea to do deliberate practice drills and work on refreshing our understanding of the benchmarks and really helping to pull everybody up and continue for me and Geraldine and everybody in the track to grow and improve our training skills. And I think we have the same idea, is that not necessarily recording it, but having the trainers then go out and train the people who are in their institutes to pull everybody up at all levels throughout neurosemantics. So that's we're starting that next week on Friday. We're going to have the initial kind of kickoff session. We have a little bit of a plan in terms of going through the benchmarks one by one, and then we're going to see how it evolves based on the feedback from the participants and see who's active and who shows up and where we go from there. So that's the study group there. And then personally, I'm excited to go back to live training. So I scheduled my first prac since COVID, and we have our practitioner scheduled for just after NSTT of next year. So then hopefully people will get more comfortable and we can get back into rhythm here in the US of the face-to-face and the certifications. Also, I have one of my students coming to the NSTT, at least one. And so hoping to have some more trainers here in the US as well to help to grow the brand over the next couple of years.
Good.
I volunteer. No, just kidding. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, go
do
ahead.
that. Do that.
All right. I'll volunteer Karen after her great interviewing of Michael last week.
Thank you, Jason. So we have 5 responses so far between South Africa and Mauritius of people that are keen to go to NSTT, which is very exciting. And what I'm personally busy with, on every Monday, we run what we call a gym. We have a drill practice for an hour, and then we have one ICMC kind of lab style practice with feedback, benchmarking and feedback. So that happens every Monday, and it's amazing to see people that have even only done module 1 and 2, but with a regular attendance, how they are improving and developing. So it's really exciting. Even coaches that have not reached their benchmarks for years, finally doing so. So that's really rewarding to do. And then I'm training online module 1 and 2 at the end of October and November, and a few participants interested in that. And then planning on doing a prac in the next year, then to also do their certification of those people. Further than that, I'm doing a lot of online coaching. So that's from my side. And I volunteer Sean.
Thanks, Karen. So for me, look, I've just had a lot of Zoom clients. At the moment. We've got COVID just wreaking havoc a bit over where I am. So some places are out of lockdown, some are in lockdown. So it's just, I don't think the government over here knows what they're doing. Really, it's pretty obvious. So, but a lot of what I'm doing is just online. So that's about it. So I was thinking about running a practitioner, but where my office is in lockdown. That's 10 minutes away from my home. My home's not in lockdown. So I can't go to the post office and get my mail unless I want to do 14 days isolation. It's just, the rules are nonsensical. So I'm just staying with online for the moment.
Yeah, we've seen some real ridiculous videos from Australia about the extreme things that they're doing, arresting people out there swimming in the ocean for not having a mask on.
Yeah, look, it's, and I'm sure the media play it, but you know, it's crazy. So just trying to wade through the stupidity of Australia. But yeah, what I'm doing is just online. I'm not doing certifications or anything at the moment. But so that's it from me. Laras.
Oh, hi everybody. So because got in late, so we're just talking what we are doing. We're talking about the institute in general.
Mostly just catching up to see what you're up to. And
okay. Well, I'm not doing any presential training, but I'm doing some online training, but not specific neurosemantics. I'm just getting some of the pieces or some piece of the some of the trainings and making something smaller to teach people. Okay. Usually it's not just videos. I'm not. It's no certification, of course, but there's some videos for people just to give more an idea of what is neurosemantics. Okay. And I hope to go back to live training only next year. Here in Brazil, the things are open up, okay, after the COVID, but a lot of confusion yet because the government, people say one thing, the state government say one thing, federal government say another thing, so it's a kind of mess, kind of confusion yet. But there are some people doing some online training also. Few trainers. I know just one trainer that is doing live training. That's Kenneth from south of Brazil. He just finished a group of persuasion, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so, but things are happening slowly, but are happening here. Okay, and we are going to talk about the Institute later, because I have a lot of things to talk about the Brazilian Institute.
well, let's put that off for a little bit.
Okay. So I have to volunteer someone. That's okay, David, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Wallace. So I'm in shock. I thought Australia was the only place that there was no COVID and no restrictions and all that kind of things. I am in shock. So here, what I'm doing is I'm in the middle of ACMC right now with Ivan. Ivan is the other co-trainer. And from this weekend to the other one, we will have the presential, the face-to-face part, the practices, the assessments. So I'm excited about that. I'm like, you know, waiting for that moment. We have a lot of restrictions, even though we can do some face-to-face trainings. We still have a lot of restrictions. I don't know, what could you say about the death rate in terms of the COVID? But it seems that here in Mexico is very high. At least 10, 11% of the people that get sick, they die. I have very close people. A client 2 days ago just passed away he was in the middle of a coaching process with me, and I just received a phone call from his daughter, and she told me, well, he just passed away. So my neighbor, many people that I know, they have just gone, and it's a little bit concerned for me and for the people that we're going to be together. But what we decide, Ivan and myself, we created like a protocol, like a step-by-step thing that we need to follow. And when I say I mean us as trainers, the assist team, and participants. So everybody, we will have one of those fast tests for knowing if we have the virus or not. And we will use masks and a lot of things that we are setting as the part of the protocol. What else? I just finished 3 weeks ago training with a company, a very important company in Mexico, is Remax. I guess you know it because it's international. So I worked with Remax Mexico with the brokers, and I was training them with coaching skills. Mostly was online, but we have a part of practices face-to-face. It was 4 days. And definitely that helped me to understand how important it is to do face-to-face things. I think it's impossible to reach what we reach when we are in person rather than doing it online. So online is okay for, the basic things, the theory, but I think it's really critical to have that presence. And last thing is I just began the practitioner online, well, the online part. And after a while, I guess it's like 10 months online, then we will have the face-to-face part with all the practices and the assessments. That's what I have been doing. Let's go with Kawati.
Okay, thank you, David. Good afternoon, colleagues. I think it's afternoon here, maybe morning there. Michael, I owe you. I owe you money. I have I have been doing mainly corporate trainings, which essentially is coaching essentials adapted for leaders. And the reason why I say I owe you, I just remembered now, is that it's adapted for leaders. It uses more than 50% of the manual or coaching essentials, not quite exact. So it's not as certified. And we do it online. So we do it online first, and then we take those foundational learnings into team coaching. So I've been doing significant amounts of team coaching to a point where I feel I could actually write a book if I had the time. So lots and lots of team coaching based on neurosemantics. So that's why we do the foundational training that happens all in corporate. And then from that significant team coaching, there's been a few, not many, individual coaching, the same leaders that come through that same stream or process of, it's basically leadership development process in several companies. So I'm not working alone, but I'm the project leader, project owner, working with some of the colleagues. Karen is also involved in some of the work. So that's that piece in terms of what I'm doing, fairly all online for now. They've even team coaching online. There's been a few one-on-ones, not a few face-to-face now that we are getting vaccinated and whatever. So we are becoming a little bit more open to socially, physically distanced training, but not much, I must say, because nobody wants to do it really. Okay, so that's me. Is there anything else I'm involved in without talking about the Institute? Karen, am I leaving anything that I'm doing maybe?
No, I
That I
don't
might
think
be
so.
forgetting? Okay, all right, good. So I will pay you, Michael. I had forgotten until I saw those, until I saw the royalties. I'm like, I also owe. I haven't done my payments, so I'm guilty. It's coming.
I think you need to volunteer Mohammed.
Yes, I forget I have to volunteer. Mohammed, my fellow African, you next.
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to volunteer me. So, actually, last month we finished our ECMC training for this year in Egypt, and we might have another one at the end of the year in Tunisia. We are very excited about that. Finally, we're able to do ECMC trainings. So we are back since the beginning of the year to do in-person trainings. We don't have a strict lockdown here. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but for some reason, the corona cases are actually going down in Egypt. So we're not seeing cases as before. And we're not really sure how or what's the logic behind that, because we are not taking any precautions. I think it's just pure luck, but I'm happy. So, and it's not the numbers announced by the government, because we can tell if the numbers are real or not from people around us. As David was saying, last year we actually lost a few people that were close to us, but currently we don't have any issues and we're not seeing any issues related to that. So, yep, we're back almost to normal. We are in the preparation of the NST, and we're very excited about that. And I think we have about 44 people so far registered in the NST, which is a good number considering the corona and everything. That's counting, I think, not 9 or 8 people from China that are not confirmed 100%. So we're still waiting for Mandy to confirm if they will be able to travel or not. But yeah, that's mainly it. Something else, Michael, and I'm not sure when can we do that. So I do have some issues that I would like to bring during this meeting. And I think you already wrote some of them in the email about the license, online trainings, stuff like that. And I do have some suggestions. So whenever the time is good for that, please let me know. I do have a small presentation.
Okay. Hendrik has just joined us. So we're just introducing what we're doing and what we're up to.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm actually joining at least for a while. I'm doing we're delivering the APG, but they're doing the concept on each other now. So I have some minutes here to join. Yeah.
So is that's an in-person training?
Yeah, it's an in-person training. We have 16 participants. And 2 assistants. It's me and Per. We're delivering the APG here in person. It's yeah, it's really intense actually.
Well, probably the biggest thing is in STT, because that'll be the first time some of us will get together in February. So Mohammed, you say we got 44, counting the 9 from China.
Yes.
Okay.
And we do have around 10 people who are still thinking about it. And I would say 5 of them will join for sure, but they are still waiting for the last minutes. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that including team leaders?
Not team leaders. So this is, and thank you for bringing that up. I think we need to get a clear idea about the number of team leaders, especially those joining from the leadership team, because the hotel is pressing to know the final numbers of the room, and they're asking me to make a payment for that. So it will be useful if you're planning to join from the leadership team to let me know if you're planning to come. And that way you can start having a clear idea about the numbers.
So
I'm planning to come. I'm planning to come. So I don't know if this is the right time to say it, but
okay. if we have 50, that would mean we'd have 8 teams of 6 people, 2 of 7. In terms of language, how many English-speaking teams? How many Arabic-speaking teams? We'd have, if Mandy comes through, we'd have 1 Chinese team.
Yes, and probably we'll have 1 or 2 Arabic teams for that. Yeah, and the rest so far will be English because we don't have we don't have like large numbers from other countries.
Will we have enough Spanish-speaking people to have a team?
So far I only have 1 person who signed up and paid for the training.
Okay.
So far, yeah.
And David, do you know if there's other people in Mexico or
Yeah,
Latin
there are
America?
at least 3 people that they are wanting the desire they have is to go, but they're making numbers and it seems it's a little bit difficult for them, but perhaps 1 will sign up.
Okay. And will he need a translator?
I guess yes, but anyway, Adrian is already he's already going because he has already his flight tickets, and I don't know if he told you, Mohammed, but Adrian is coming. No.
Yeah, that's good. He already referred someone, so the person that's coming from Mexico is referred by Adrian. So I was guessing that he's coming.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah.
Who else will be there? Who else of this group is planning to be there?
Jason,
be there.
Karen, and Kobati, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, myself.
And Henry.
And Henrik.
Yeah, I'm planning to. Oh, we're still
Yeah.
talking about coming to Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm planning to come to Egypt.
Well, it's the shortest trip for you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no.
I think
For
it's
us,
like 3
it's
hours.
9 hours.
Yes. Yes.
So with David, Mandy, Geraldine, Kabodi, Jason, Adrian, Hendrik, that's 7.
And me. You don't
seems
have
like-
me.
and then Karen. So that's 8. So that would be our 8 team leaders. And it seems like we got a couple others that I've written down over on the desk. So we're getting enough of the team leaders, I think. There's some other people who want to come who's never been on the team before. They've never been to NSTT. They've never even revisited once. So if they do want to come, I think Mohammed and I decided that we'd ask them to pay a minimum fee, like what, 500, something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
And then they could support that. They could be they could learn from one of you as the team leader. So they'd be the secondary team leader.
Well, and I'm hoping that we'll have more people join the training. So assuming that we're going to have the Chinese team join us, we might also reach like 60 people. So it will be a good idea to have extra people on the system.
And we would need, if you say we might have 2 Arab-speaking groups, we might need to get 2 more trainers who are Arab-speaking. Do you have anybody in mind for that?
So I do have Hossam in my mind because
Hossam would be good.
Yeah, he co-trains the ACMC with me. Yeah, and I can definitely think about someone else.
Our Mohammed from Alexander, would he be someone who could do that?
Let me check with him because he's having lately like health issues, so he's not always able to commit to large trainings. So he was part of the training during the ACMC training we had last month, and he was on and off. So let me check with him because yeah, I'd like someone in the training who's able to commit to the whole training. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to be in charge of a English speaking group or Arabic?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'll probably be in charge of an Arabic speaking group, but I would like to have someone else because I'll be the organizer too. So I'd like to
Yeah.
focus, yeah, in case I have to focus on other things.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Mohammed,
so-
it would be my sorry, it would be my
Right.
guess that the South African and Mauritian people have not signed up yet. So those are another 5 that we know of that are interested in coming.
So I do have one from Mauritius. Let me check who is that. So we do have one person registered. Joyce, yeah, it's Joyce. So Joyce already
Joyce, yes.
paid the training. Yeah.
Okay. So then it's an additional 5 besides Joyce that's interested in attending.
Yeah. My expectation is we will reach 60 people, at least 60 people, counting those coming from China.
With 60, we'll need 10 team leaders.
Mhm.
And probably we'll want 12 or 13 just so we have a few extra people for things that come up.
Exactly. So I do know for a fact that Bruno from Mauritius, he's interested to come, and I think he'll be a good addition to the team.
Well, it's coming together slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Originally, we were going to do it in 2 weeks from now, so it was probably good that we put it off again.
Yeah.
Anything else about NSTT?
Yeah, from my side, it's just the team leaders to confirm that the team leaders and also the institutes. If you're planning to refer your students, I think it's time to do that. So, and get in touch with me if you have issues. So I've been doing that with Mandy, and because they don't know for a fact if they'll be able to travel from China or not. So what I did is I reserved place for her people without charging them money. And I asked her to keep all the money till they can confirm to do that. So I was being a bit flexible with her, or a lot flexible with her, giving the conditions and what's happening there. And I'll ask you to do the same. If you have conditions or if you have issues, if you have people from your country who'd like longer payment plans, get in touch with me and we can see what we can do to make that happen.
Mohammed, I just have a
Okay.
question regarding the dates. So will the team leaders be meeting beforehand or will everybody start on the 11th?
Yeah, we're going 2 days before the training, if I remember right from what Michael sent me.
Mhm.
Right.
We will all want to be there ready to go on the 9th, February 9th.
So it's 2 days before the training for the assist team, but I think there is also a day for the leadership team. Is that right?
We have done that in the past, although the last time at Bali, we really didn't have that much to talk about as the leadership team. So 2 days will be sufficient for the team build,
Okay.
our team building and our preparation with the benchmarks. And so I think 9th and 10th will be sufficient. We'll eat
Okay.
together and that's when a lot of the talk occurs.
Yeah. Keeping in mind that some people will be on the team, assist team, who are not part of the leadership team. Would that be fine?
Like who? You mean
So
like
maybe
participants?
on the assist team, so maybe like Hossam, so maybe Hamad from Alexandria,
Right.
Bruno, so
Right.
whoever, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine because we
No
the
secrets.
leadership team is really representative of
Yeah.
everybody else anyway. So it's not
Yeah.
like
Okay.
there's secrets going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. We did have some questions and issues this past month about certification, and had one of our guys, one of our trainers from the Egypt Institute that we had to deal with. Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, the thing is, I think the issue is not over yet, and I'm seeing issues from other trainers too, and the same trainer. So I do have, maybe if you can, you give me like 10 minutes to have a quick presentation? Okay, so what I want to do here is, let me, okay, so I want to be succinct, so I have a presentation. Okay, so can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfectly. So the issues we had recently here, we had trainers delivering trainings that were not following the standards. Mainly, one trainer was delivering all of the trainings online, 100% online over Zoom, and he was issued certificates. And I believe he had a complete practitioner, NLP practitioner training delivered that way, and now is doing the same for master practitioner. So that's one issue. Another issue, certificates were issued for online trainings. We had a lot of issued certificates that were issued for online trainings. And another issue, we had certificates that were issued for people, giving them the impression that they are coaches, even though they have never attended any training. So one training we have is the transformational change, and participants received the title transformational coach. That was declared on the certificates, and the training was delivered online. And last week, I've actually taken a screenshot of one of these participants, like announcing herself, advertising herself as a coach, actually as a meta coach, and she never attended a meta coach ECMC training. So for me, this is a big issue. Also, we had trainers. This is what Michael was referring to, who was training without renewing their license, and also training without paying royalties. And one of the issues I've seen that it's not easy for people, normal people, to see an ad online and say, this trainer is approved from Neurosemantics, or this trainer is actually qualified to train this training. So we know, and not everyone. So I was not sure if a trainer was allowed by Michael to training or not. So I think we don't have a clear way or clear system to know for sure if Muhammad, for example, is licensed to train this training or not. We do have a rule that you need to attend the training once to be able to do that. So I do have a few suggestions for that. The first suggestion for online trainings, we need to have like clear standards decided by the leadership team about how to do the online trainings. So right now, when I asked Michael, his recommendation was to do, I think, 3 to 5 days in person after the training. Right now, I see a trainer who's advertising a meta practitioner, and is saying that after the training, I'm going to do an assessment for you in 1 day, and then I'm going to give you the certificates. So for me, this is not really, I cannot imagine giving a meta NLP master practitioner totally online and then doing 1 or 2 days doing that. So we need to have a clear number of days. Instead of saying 2 to 3 days or 5 days, I think we need to have a very clear number. Else the trainers will like try to see how they can overcome this rule. And the trainer I'm speaking about, he's doing all his training using his phone. So he's using his phone, getting on Zoom and delivering. He's not even using a computer to deliver the trainings. So I'm highly concerned about that. So we need to decide if some trainings can be allowed to be done online or not. Because we might decide that some trainings, they cannot be delivered online, even if they do some part of it. And if we're going to allow them, we need to decide how we're going to do that. Leaving it completely to the trainer, some trainers will choose the lowest standards and even things away from the standards we're doing. So we need to be clear about how we are going to do that. And also be clear about the number of in-person days. If we're going to do that, instead of saying you need to do the practical part in person, because the trainer I've seen, he's doing a full master practitioner and then asking the participants to come 1 day in a training room, and then he's going to issue them certificates. And those who are getting the master practitioner certificates have attended with him the practitioner also online. So my nightmare is we'll have a group of people who have done master prac online, and then they'll be coming to me next February to do an STT. So yeah, so this is one issue. Let me go to the other issues quickly, and then we can discuss together. So my suggestion and solution for the certificates is actually to create an online system. And if you approve that, and if you like the idea, I'll be working on that, and I can finish that, I think, in a month or so. So basically, it's going to be a system where trainers logging online, and in the system, we have the trainings they are allowed to train. So for example, if I'm allowed to train NLP and EPG, then I can only issue certificates for these trainings. And on that website, I'm going to enter the name of my students who finished the training. And the system is going to generate certificates using the template, using the title that we agreed on. I don't want the trainer to decide on the title and to use misleading titles like transformational coach to those who have never attended the coaching training, for example. So the online site will issue certificates for the students. The trainer can easily print these certificates. So it's actually going to make things easier for the trainer, and also keep a copy of all the certificates online. So Michael, for example, or the leadership team or the head of the local institute can go online and see all the trainers and all the certificates they issued. That will allow us to keep a record of all the certificates issued by the trainer, and also will allow us to track the royalties due. So it's not going to be a way for them to hide from the royalties. Also, we can use a QR code like this one I'm having here on the screen. Using a QR code, the participant can scan that code and can go to a website online and get the information of the trainer, can make sure that the certificate is valid, certificate is not fake. And everything about the certificate can be shown, including the standards that the certificate was issued upon, the rules, anything that's required. So if a trainer is issuing a certificate for an online training, and he shouldn't be doing that, the student can go and see that the training shouldn't have been online, and the student can see that something was wrong. That way, we will reduce the likelihood of trainers misleading students or doing things wrong, because the students can easily go to the website and see the rules or the standards the certificate was to be issued upon. So the certificate can be verified online. Also, it will allow us to offer something useful for the students, where they can have a page and they can go online and see all the certificates they took from any trainer anywhere in the world. So we can have a record for all the students. If they attended the training with me, with David, with Kopati, with Michael, we can still see all the certificates issued for these trainers, students, which will allow us also to keep a record for the trainers. And we can see how many hours they trained, the courses they are delivering. And also we can easily use the system to give them permission to deliver a training. If they attended the training, then the system will automatically give them the permission to train this training. If they are going to get special permission, for example, from Michael to deliver a training, then we can add that to that system. So this way, we are not going to have students or trainers delivering trainings they are not supposed to do. We can also see the number of students they trained this year or since they started. So maybe during the last 10 years, how many students you trained. We can easily calculate the royalties due. And my suggestion is also to have another QR code like this issued for the training and the courses they are delivering to be put on any ad they are doing. So if, for example, I'm doing an ad on Facebook, then I'm going, as a trainer, I'm going to generate this QR code and I'm going to include it in the ad. Students can easily check the code, go to website and see if I'm really licensed to train or not. If I didn't pay my fees for this year, then it's going to show in a red sign that I'm not valid for this year. And also it's going to show if I'm allowed to train this training or not. So basically it's going to make things easier for the trainers, make things easier for the head of the institutes to see what's happening. Because one of the issues that happened in Egypt here is that trainer was training and I was not aware that he's training. I was surprised that he's training. And I discovered that for the last 4 years, he was not paying royalties. He was not following the standards. And I discovered that he was delivering trainings from his home using Zoom. And by the way, he was actually renting Zoom. So he was not paying for Zoom. So, and I had no idea he was doing that. He was not coming back to the community. He was not telling us what he's doing. By having a centralized system like that, we can keep track of everything and also give credit for trainers. So we can see the top trainers in the community, who's training the most, how many training hours you delivered. And also we can show that we have high standards. We can give peace of mind to the students by knowing that this trainer is certified and is in good standing. So this is basically a quick idea I've been thinking about the last week after the issues we had. Programming this and making a system for it, I can take care 100% of that if you approve that, and I can start working on that. So that's it.
Mohammed, I have a question.
Sure.
Because I don't know a lot of that kind of systems, but what I know is that somebody has to create the QR codes. So who is going to do that? And if it's for another institute, let's say it's for Brazil, are you going to do that, or how are you planning to manage that kind of
Thank you for the question. So my idea is to automate everything. I want to reduce actually the amount of work we're doing, not to increase it. So the QR code will be generated automatically. And basically, I'm giving a tool for the trainer to input the name of the students, select the name of the training, and then he will have an option to print a PDF file, including all the certificates, including the QR codes and everything. So he can easily take the file and print it on his computer to the print house. So it's actually making their life easier, while at the same time keeping record of all the certificates. So we have an online record of all the certificates. So it will be generated automatically. The trainer can either print it, or he can just say, I'm going to issue it online. Because I've seen trainers recently who give online certificates. They don't need to print it. Many students now, they don't need the paper. So the system can do this or that. Yeah.
Would each institute have a different one?
So I'm still thinking about that. My preference is to have a centralized system, but is also unique for each institute. So we have one system, but maybe later it could be hosted on different institutes.
So how would we deal with the different languages?
That's easy, because there's not a lot of text to be done. So I can work with different institutes to translate that and have it ready from the beginning.
Okay.
Mohammed, it's Sean here. I think to allow the institutes to manage this is the preferred way in my mind. The only concern I have is the policing of it, knowing that there is trainers that aren't going with it. And I agree with what you're suggesting. I think it'd be ideal at the institute, as I said, but it's what do we do when a trainer or trainers are not following? We can go down our process, dispute process.
Mm-hmm. So my thinking is we will have different levels. So we will have an access for the trainer. He can go online and see whatever he's doing. And then we will have a high level for the manager of the institute, the leader of the institute. He can go online and see the trainers under the institute, can see all the information. And then maybe we have a higher level, maybe accessible by the leadership team or by Michael, where he can go and see all the trainers done in all institutes. And also a big part for me here is the royalties due. So it's going to be very easy. Michael, you can go and see all the royalties due from all the trainers in one page.
Mohammed, let me ask a question. So how would it take, so this would apply for pure neurosemantics, full courses. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm doing half of whatever coaching essentials is, how would the system capture that? Because even with that, we agreed the system is that if we're using 60% or more, you should still be paying royalties, like I indicated earlier. How would that be captured here?
Well, the thing is, will you be issuing a neurosemantic certificate?
No, not when you're not doing the full thing.
Yeah. So in this case, then you don't need to use the system. but you need to keep track of the extra royalties that are due for these courses and give that to Michael directly.
Okay.
So a couple things. On the first page, you had a statement there about agreeing to approved online training. I think that David and Marzuki has already pretty well detailed out the requirements that this team has made up for that.
Yeah.
So I think that part has already been done. And I would say that for prac and for master prac, we need 3 days in-person training before the certificate.
Yeah. In fact, what we said is that we need at least 30% of the training.
30%.
Doing it by a person. Yeah, 30% at least.
So for prac, that would be 3 days. For master
Yeah.
prac, that would be 5 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That would also depend, Michael, on the prac hours. If we're going with the 80 or the 120 hours, what would you say is the NLP prac hours as a minimum hour standard that you recommend?
Yeah.
Well, the minimum is the 7-8 days. That's the minimum. So there's lots of institutes that's their minimum. We recommend in neurosemantics 9 to 10 days. So we got the 3 modules of meta NLP. So I think if we agree upon 3 days for prac and 5 for master prac, that's general enough where we don't have to
Okay.
keep changing it for.
So the next
For
question
hours.
is, what's the minimum number of hours per day? Because I don't want them to bring the students 1 hour for 5 days.
For online?
Yes. No. So if we agree that they need to attend 5 days in person, what's the minimum number of hours for each day of these 5 days?
Well, what we normally do is 8 hours.
Okay, so it's 8 times 5. Okay.
Michael, I don't think I've ever done 8 hours with you. It's always 12.
That's right.
Yeah.
Normally it's 8, but with Michael it's 12.
And what about the APG?
Well, if we stay with the idea of 1/3, then 1 day
Yeah.
to see if the person actually knows what metastating is and can actually do it.
Okay, so that's 8 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Mohammed, I have a question
Sure.
regarding if we collaborate and we co-train, how will we be capturing? So the system would just need to be able to cater for more than one trainer on a specific training.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We can easily do that because the certificates will actually show the name of the trainers. But you need to decide who will be paying the royalties, or maybe you're going to split it into half. So yeah, we can easily do that too.
So a couple other things. I would guess every one of us, every time we go to a training, we write down, I've been to Inside Out Persuasion, it was delivered by, and the dates were. I mean, it's just part of your resume, part of your CV. And that could be put onto the website at each institute. So that if I wanted to see what are the trainings David has attended, and then I could just see this training delivered by that trainer at that date. And that would help us to know if the trainer has taken the training and therefore can deliver it.
Well, using the system, we can actually automate that part because we can create like a WordPress plugin, and each institute can install that on their local website, and it's going to list all the trainers and show all the trainings they delivered and what I'm calling trainers records. So it's basically showing who's senior by the amount of trainings, amount of hours, amount of students that they delivered.
Okay.
Tarek, my question is looking at it from the perspective of the students. So how would this serve them? Because the issue is that the students don't know the standards. So if a trainer were to promote that I'm conducting meta NLP, so as far as the student's concerned, okay, so I'm attending your training. So with respect to that, so how do we get this information across?
So my idea is once if we use the QR code and ask the trainers to include that in their advertising, if I'm in advertising, for example, a Meta NLP master practitioner, I'll be using a QR code like this in the ads, or maybe the link to the website. Students will click to that and they will go and see the minimum standards for this training. So they will see, for example, that to get the training, they need to attend a minimum number of these hours. They need to attend 5 days, as we agreed today, in person, and all the other rules. And if there is anything on the website that's contradicting with what the trainer is announcing, then it's clear that the trainer is doing something that's not allowed or something unethical.
We could also on that website put a list of, you're going to learn the meta model, you're going to learn I-access and cues, you're going to learn, and just have a checklist.
The content.
These will be the things that you'll learn in these days.
Exactly.
Mohammed, well, Mohammed and myself, we have talked about the license numbers for the trainers in the past, and we think that the next thing to do is to and somehow substitute the plastic cards into digital cards.
Mm-hmm.
Mohammed, how can we link both things? How do you think about that?
Yes, so it will actually be much better. So right now you have like an Excel sheet where you have all the information of the trainers. Instead of that, you as the head of the Neurosemantics, so what you'll do is you'll have your own dashboard and you can go inside and you can see all the trainers and those who renewed and those who didn't renew yet. So that will be a higher level. The lower level will be on the institute level, where the head of the institute can see the same information for the trainers under him, but you as the head of the whole institute can see all the trainers under all the institutes. That will actually give you a quick idea about the number of those renewed from each institute. So you can see that in this institute we have 20 trainers, only 10 renewed.
Okay.
And yes, yeah, go ahead.
Because when we did the plastic cards, we put QR code, so anybody could see the information of that trainer. Do you think it's a good idea to link it with this new system?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Yeah, so definitely we'll be linking it to the previous. We're not replacing the previous system. We're just upgrading it to make it easier. Basically, what I want to do is I want to automate things. So instead of the head of institutes going and generating the codes manually, the system will automatically create these numbers and everything while linking the previous data too.
That's great. That's great.
I think one of the critical pieces, Mohammed, is what you've stated. Sorry, Jason, regarding the minimum standards on the institute website. And so then if you've got an API key, from a central spot, then it is that simplified standard. You may, I don't think it'll be too hard to put all of the trainings because we typically just have those license and gateway trainings. So
yes, yes.
Sorry, Jason.
Yes, I was just wondering. Go ahead, Mohammed.
So just 30 seconds. So what we'll be doing is we're saying this training is approved if it covers the minimum, and we're going to put, like Michael said, the content, number of days, number of hours, the way it's delivered, and saying, so this training is approved from Neurosemantics if it's covering these standards, and that's it. This way, the students can be 100% sure that the trainer is delivering something accredited from the Neurosemantics, and the trainers cannot depend on the students are not going to know the standards, and that way they can cheat the system or cheat us.
I think it's a great idea to have the records tracked. But I was just wondering, so in terms of, I like the idea about the automation and having things automated. Would it be from the trainer side, do you imagine it when students are certified, so the trainer would just have to manually enter the first name, last name, and whatever other data it would pull? And then for licensing, would you imagine this taking the payment process through this centralized system, or still doing license payments through the institutes?
So you mean license for the yearly fees?
Like a trainer's license, not the royalties, but the actual licensing.
Yearly fees. So phase 2, if we approve this system and it's working, phase 2 is I want to automate that too, where trainers can go online and pay online and goes directly to the institute, especially since Michael is now giving 100% to the money to stay in the local institute. That can easily be done either through Stripe or PayPal. And we'll be actually testing this next year in Egypt. If it's successful, I'll be more than happy to share the code and everything with the rest of the institutes.
Well, it makes good sense to me, and it looks like you've done a lot of thinking this through pretty thoroughly.
Okay, so I'll be doing more thinking about it, write a formal proposal, send it to you within a week or two. And if everything is good, then I'll start programming it and show you the prototype soon.
I have a question about the certificates or the acknowledgements, because at the beginning of the pandemic, we said that those people or those trainers who are doing only online trainings, they could deliver virtual acknowledgement. Are we keeping that agreement or not? I just sent it to you, Mohammed. I don't know if you want to share it in the screen. I sent it by WhatsApp.
That's my understanding, that we give acknowledgement of attendance for the online.
Yeah, we call it virtual acknowledgement.
Yeah, my understanding is none of the trainers in Egypt use this virtual acknowledgement. They use the real certificates even when they were not allowed to use the real certificates. And that's why I'm proposing the system. Because if they do that, the certificates will be clearly, it will be clear to the student that it's not valid, and we can also easily revoke the certificates if there is a need to do that.
Maybe this is one of those cases where we need to repeat 10 times. This is what you can deliver.
Yeah, unfortunately, David, I think it's not about repeating. I think some people intentionally are doing things hoping that no one is going to catch them. And that's why I think it's best to have a system where they cannot cheat it. Or if they are still cheating the system, then we can
totally agree.
Yeah, there's no excuse for them. If we have a clear system like this, there is no excuse for them to cheat it. If they're still cheating the system, then we don't want them as part of the institution.
Sure. So if we need a vote, I vote for a yes, definitely.
I guess, Mohammed, with the system you're referring and the certificates, the central location is generating a certificate number of authenticity or something like that, right?
Well, it's not a number. It's the QR code. QR code is basically a number, but it's shown in this format, so you can easily scan it using your phone. So yes, we will have a unique identifying number for each certificate. And in that number, we'll have the information of the trainer, the information of the institute, and the information of the student, and the rest of the information. So we can tell a lot.
Yeah, that certificate authentication will be
exactly
the validity of the system.
Yeah. So basically, once you have a printed certificate, you can scan it and you can go and see an identical version of it online. And you'll also see the standards upon the certificate was issued.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can verify, you can see if it's valid or not. And that will also allow us, if there is a need to revoke certificates in the future, to do that. But my thinking is, if we use the system, trainers were not going to be able to cheat the system or issue certificates they are not allowed to issue, or use words they're not allowed to use on the certificates.
I just had the inspiration for a new article for the trainers group. We will catch you.
We have a police now.
Maybe another title, trainers versus AI. Okay.
Tarek, I'm just curious about the Egyptian education system to produce so many people with the options meta program?
Well, it's not a lot of people here. I think it's only 2 trainers. And by the way, thank you for saying that, Michael. One of the main issues and something that I think is really severe. I've heard about trainers. I don't have proof about that, but I heard about 2 trainers who are telling their students, you need only to do APG and practitioner, and that's enough for you to become a coach. So they are not certified to do the ECMC, and they are encouraging their students to only do the APG and prac, and telling them in the prac you're already learning the skills of coaching. You're just not doing the practice. So there's no need to pay for the extra money just to do the practice. You can do the practice anytime, anywhere. So using a system like that, we can make it very clear that by attending this training, you are not a coach. To be a coach, you need to check these courses before you can call yourself a coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking about yeah, I will support a system. I'm just wondering how much of a pushback we're gonna get from some of our colleagues around setting. We've often been in the past being criticized for being too much of policing, a policing sort of framework.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how are we gonna communicate
that's
it?
about-
Because not everybody does this kind of a thing. And in South Africa, for instance, I know that a lot of our colleagues, they have an option where they're doing their own thing, and then they also do the neurosemantics components. And so somehow we need to be able to rely so much on that people want to do good while we are putting together a policing system.
Yeah. So that's really a question of how we frame it and the framing. We're not policing, we're keeping standards. And as long as we frame it as the unique branding of neurosemantics is high quality and high quality standards, then it's not so much we're chasing you down and policing you because you're misbehaving. It's about, are you the kind of person who lives the standards and teaches the standards, and you do quality work? Because we are a community of people who care about quality. And I think if we frame it that way, then the whole thing about policing goes away.
Yeah, and Kopati, I want to frame it in a different way. I'm going to frame it as an added value for the trainers and the students. So now you get to generate your certificates automatically. You get to have an online record for all your certificates. You get to offer your students like online version of your certificates that's verified by the neurosemantics. So that's added value, and that's also answering the concern some trainers had a couple of years ago when we stopped putting the sticker on the certificates, because some of them said, how I'm going to prove to my students that this certificate is original. And back then we did that because we didn't want them to give like APG and say this is a certification to become a coach. But we're still be able to do that while giving them a way to verify that this is an approved training and the certificate is actually legitimate. So it's actually, the way I see it, if the trainer has good intention, there's a lot of added value for them and their students in that. So it's something good, not policing them. Those who wants to run from the rules, those who are the one who are going to see it as policing them. But those who are already sticking to the rules, they will see more value added to them and more services and things done for them automatically.
No, I like that. I like that. What's important is to frame it correctly using those values. So that's the first thing. So I really think it's a great system. I'm all for us automating and bringing IT in. And while we are doing that, when you finish this, Mohammed, the next project is doing the same for meta coaches, we have been in South Africa looking to develop a continuous professional development system where coaches can also capture their hours and we don't have to follow them up. It's all on the system and anybody in the world can log in, look for Kobati, and all their credentials will come up as well. So that would be the next project that really I would want to put on the table. The third one, Mohammed, that you're also aware of would be our online meetings, the one we talked about, getting a proper system, that Zoom system that allows us to, everybody registers all across so and we also managing it from one system.
Yes, so thank you for bringing
big up
that up.
to that for you, yeah, because
Yes.
you're really leading us on that IT space, and I just want to honor you and
Yes.
encourage you to keep going.
Thank you. So my plan is actually exactly what you said, to help with the meta coaching, and I'd like to work more with Sean on that after testing the system, because the trainers, we have fewer trainers, so it's easier to test a new system with a fewer amount of people. Once it's working, I also want to have like an automated system for that, where we can go and search for the coach. We can see their specialty. We can see the number of hours when they were trained. Because I do have this issue. I do have coaches here, and I don't really remember when they were not when they were certified, and I don't have a record if they need to renew their license after 4 years or not. It's written somewhere. It's on paper somewhere, but it's not on a computer. So this is what I want to do. I want to have a way to automatically remind the coaches, automatically allow them to pay their $40 online and do that. So yes, let's work on the project for the trainers. If it's successful and the feedback is good, we can definitely work together on the version for the coaches.
I think just on the version for the coaches, we in a way have done a soft start with the MetaCoach license. I haven't had much pushback at all from many people. I've had plenty of questions being asked. Don't know if anybody else has had like a pushback from that license process, but it seemed more like attracted than averted, if that's the simplest way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's definitely the initiation of then being able to take the trainers to what Mohamed's proposing, and then be very easy to then transition the system to the meta coaches, or have meta coaches licenses transitioning across to a similar process.
Mm-hmm.
If I may also offer the frame for, because I'm looking at it from the student point of view. So when we have a system such as this, a frame that I'm also holding is that to add value service to people who want to learn NLP, that they learn something that is accredited, something that is certified, because they are looking, they don't know which one's certified, which one's not. I've been noticing one NLP trainers conducting a 5-day NLP program, fully online, and certifying people in practitioner. The students who attend that training has no idea about the standards out there. So they just see that, say, okay, so I'm being certified. So one frame that I'm using for the system that Tariq is proposing is that we can use the system there in our local website, so that when people go to the local websites, they know what requirements are there for me to be certified as a practitioner or master practitioner, so that with that they can compare with what's out there on the market. For those people who just want to have certificate for the sake of having certificate, they can just go out and get whatever certificate that they want. But for people who are really seeking to learn the skills, then they have something that they can compare with, so that they have a standard that they can benchmark from. So that's what the value that I see from the proposal that you're giving from the perspective of the learners out there.
Yes, and also it's going to offer the students like a profile on the Neurosymatics website where they can go and they can see all the certificates they attended. So that would be useful actually for coaches where they can share that page with their clients and say, these are the coaching trainings or programs I attended with Neurosymatics. So it's also another added value for the students.
So we've been online for an hour and 15 minutes now. I think that I propose that all of us seem to be in agreement with this. So we just need to send this recording to the rest of the team. So Marzuki, if you could do that, send it to the team and a little message, listen to this. We're all in agreement with it. Just make sure you're in agreement with it. And Mohammed's going to be working on this. And then we'll just go from there and see how it works out.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
As soon as Mohammed, you've stated about participants seeing themselves on an institute, that does lead itself to a practitioner membership, master prac membership, or it may not lead it to that. It may have them as ACMC membership that encourages them to go from prac APG to actually ACMC. So that could be a further conversation, but I think it helps create the rigor of whichever way you take it.
Yeah. Yeah, it can show them the courses they attended and the courses they can still attend. It's like a checklist, which will actually help a lot in the marketing. And that could be another way to sell it to the trainers.
All right, good.
So,
Well, thank you
another
for bringing this up and presenting this to us.
Thank you. So another topic that Kopati brought up is the online meetings. And my suggestion for that and to do that in an organized way is to purchase our own like Zoom license, which is just for us. And as Marzuki recommended, I think like 2 meetings ago, to do the webinar version where we can automate the reminders. So people can register for that and we can automate the reminders. That will increase the number of people joining. If they get like an email a week before the event, a day before the event, 1 hour before the event, if we can automate that using like our register, sign up for our own Zoom or webinar version, and I think that will cost us something like $60, something like that, maybe a little bit more, but around that a month.
So why don't you just go ahead and set that up and then send me the bill.
Perfect.
And I'll pay it by PayPal.
Perfect.
Just one thing, if we go for the webinar, Zoom webinar, there's also allowed us to have translation to interpreters channels, maybe I think 5 or 6 different languages is available.
Yes. And my recommendation, if we're going to pay for the Zoom webinar license, is to also make it available for the institutes. Because right now we only use it once every month. But if, for example, in Indonesia, they have a meeting this week, or in Malaysia, they have a meeting this week, then the leader of the institute can use it to run the meeting for the whole community. So that way, if we're paying $60 a month or even $100, but all the institutes are using it, then it's a very good investment.
Okay. Just one thing, I don't think it's only $100. I think it's more than that for the webinar. It would depend the number of if you for a room for 100, for 500 people, I think it's more than that.
For 100, it's $40 on top of the $15. So
okay.
Yeah.
Where do you record it to, Mohammed? Do you have a plan for the Zoom recording, or is it recorded elsewhere?
I didn't get your question.
Where does the community meetings get recorded? Is it on a Zoom recording, or is it?
Yes. So it's
recorded. Included in that?
Yes, it's recorded in the cloud. I think so in my account, because right now I'm using a corporate account company I'm doing coaching through. They have unlimited storage, but I think the plan we're going to have is we have like 2 gigabytes, which is enough to have the recording and download it. And for the price, it's $79 a month for the 500 attendees. So it's $79, I think, on top of the I think on top of the $15. So it's still under $100 a month.
You used the webinar version before, Mohammed? You have experience
Yes.
with the webinar?
Yes. It's basically the same as the meeting, but you have more control over it, because it's designed. You are presenting to other people, but you can still have the attendees show up and do whatever you want. And my understanding is you can use, once you have the webinar, you can also use the meeting. So you have both options to do that. The main advantage for the webinar is automating the reminders.
Because I
You
was
cannot
just thinking
do that.
you could do that
Yeah.
pretty easily with like a Zapier, quick zap as an option. I
If
think,
you
can you
do
do
that,
breakout groups in the webinar version as well? Can you do breakout? I don't know.
I'm not
I've been a
I'm not sure
participant,
about.
but never
Yeah,
a presenter.
yeah. I don't think you can do it on the webinar. I have to check. The other option, if you're going to use Zapier, then you need to have like a mailing list system,
Exactly.
which will cost you extra, and that could be another option. So we can see if we are going to use 2 systems. So if you want, I think me, you, and maybe Marzuki, we can discuss that together, and anyone else who's interested in technology, and then we can decide what we want to do and propose that for the rest of the group.
Okay.
So Michael has already okayed it. So you just to get a proposal and look what's most equitable,
Yes.
Financially
Yes.
sound and get it done. Yeah.
Yes.
So it doesn't, what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to come back to the group to approve it. We've approved it already.
Okay.
I'm happy to look at it with you, Mohammed, because I think my plan, I'm paying more. So I'm trying to save some money here.
Yeah, because I think all the institutes can make use out of that, and it's going to be very useful if we have like an account for that for the whole institutes.
Yeah.
We would just want to make sure that we can do the Zoom rooms.
Yeah.
Well, the webinar includes the rooms, so it's included.
Well, and I thought we didn't have much to talk about.
Okay.
Thank you, Mohammed, for proposing this. This is really I think, an effective and efficient way of, doing this, not just keeping track, but I guess it's also going to revive communities, and there's
Yes.
going to have that international feel at the same time. Yeah, there's more connectivity. Yeah, and marketing side also, I think, will help. This kind of system.
Yes.
So thank you.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
good to see everybody, and about time for us to wrap up here.
Oh, I remember War saying about the institute. He wanted to mention something, and he said it's going to be after.
Okay. Waris?
Yes.
Anything on the Institute?
Yeah, I'd like to share what we are doing here as a community. Mohammed, could you just stop sharing your screen, please? Just to say that we divide people, trainers and some meta coaches in small groups, and each group is dealing with an area. So we have people for working with finance, marketing, trainers, meta coaching, and ethics and communication. And the people from the marketing, they are working a lot because they are doing a lot of posts on the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube to talk about neurosemantics, so people can know about neurosemantics. And they're doing a program, a training, online training, only for the members of the community, the neurosemantics community, talking how to market your product, your service, your courses. It's going to be some videos. Okay, I don't know how many, but they are making the videos. So we are going to offer this for all our members, so they know how to sell, to talk about themselves, to sell their products. I think it's going to be at the end of this year. It's going to be ready. Also, in the trainers group, we have every month one trainer is giving, let's say, a presentation, okay, an open presentation. So something about neurosemantics. This for the public, open for everybody. That's another way for us to talk about neurosemantics. And we also have in the meta coaching, we are going to have let's say a meeting. It's called Meta Coaching Business Day. That's going to be held at the end of October. I think the 3rd of October. It's like a 4 hours event where I think David is going to talk. That's right, David? You're one of the person that were invited, and they're going to talk about coaching as business. It's open to everybody, and not only the neurosemantic community. And I think it's going to be another way to, first you're going to focus on business, how to see coaching as business. And is going to be in some way, another way also to show a little bit about neurosemantics or meta coaching in this case. So these things that we are working on, so for our community, also to spread the neurosemantics here in Brazil. So that's what I want to share with you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Good.
So people are working a lot. They are very, say, happy with this, all these things that are going on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to go get some coffee. Anybody with me? It's good to see everybody.
Yes.
And we'll let the rest of the team know what we've been talking about and get them caught up to it. And then what, about 3 weeks, we'll have another one of our presentations.
Yes.
When again is the
Okay.
community meeting? Just want to make sure we got the dates right.
They should
I
be on
think
the 9th.
9th of October.
Okay.
Have a great prac, Henrik.
Yeah,
An
thank you.
APG, excuse me.
Yeah, it's an APG. It's an APG. It's yeah, it's very good so far. Transformative for some of the participants, and hopefully for more. So yeah, thank you, and see you later. See you soon.
All right.
Yes.
Our next
Okay,
meeting
see
will be
you.
on the 23rd of October.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Everybody.
much.
Bye-bye.
Well.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Keep well and stay safe.
Thank you.